I've noticed three main problems that keep beginners from doing good ollies. The first is bad foot placement. Second is not actually understanding what the back foot is supposed to do. And last is having bad timing. Foot placement is probably the easiest fix, and this is more geared towards brand new skaters. You want to make sure that you're on the ball of your back foot. You should be able to bend your back foot at the toes and still feel comfortable standing on the tail. A lot of times I'll see a brand new skater standing with the arch or the center of their foot right in the center of the tail, and that's really going to give you no pop at all. It's almost impossible to get the proper leverage and power through the back leg if you're standing in that position. When you use the ball of your foot, it allows you to transfer the power from the leg to the foot, through the toes, and to hit the tail on the ground. And this will set you up for an optimal pop with your back foot. Speaking of back foot, a huge problem I see with people who don't have the greatest ollies is they look kind of like this. You can pop the tail off the ground, get some air, but the board never really levels out and it just stays rocketed, which in turn decreases your ability to get a high leveled out ollie. I'll focus on how the front foot comes into play for this, but for right now, I just want to talk about the back foot. In almost every how to ollie tutorial, you'll hear that the steps are press down on the back foot to pop the tail, slide your front foot up, and jump. Well, when you think about it, that's not very descriptive, and what does it really mean to pop the tail? There's more to it than just pressing your back foot down so the tail hits the ground. With the back foot, there's not just a downward motion, there's a down and then jumping up, which is all part of one big movement. You can't think of it only as just pressing your back foot down as hard as you can. You have to think of it as jumping off of your back foot. If you get this movement right, then your height should only be limited by how high you can actually jump off the ground. So I know this looks kind of ridiculous, but just watch what my back foot is doing. It's pressing down, hitting the ground, and jumping up, all in one fluid movement. An ollie is a teeter-totter motion, and having your back foot motion down correctly is really going to allow you to get the height. Now, what holds everything together in an ollie to make everything run smoothly, give you your height, and make sure the board is leveled out is timing. If your timing is off one way or the other, you're going to end up with an ollie that's either too low, too rocketed, too much towards the nose, and just not very good. Before I get really into it though, let's go over some fundamental physics for a full-fledged ollie. An ollie is a teeter-totter motion with your feet, where your front foot comes up first and your back foot comes up slightly behind it. This is roughly what your timing should look like. Just pretend I have a board underneath me. Second, if you pop your board hard enough with your back foot, it is capable of going several feet in the air. But remember that this is not just about power, it's about finesse and timing. So when you do pop the board with your back foot, the thing that's going to keep it from flipping over or flying away from you is your front foot. Your front foot really doesn't come into play until about halfway through your ollie. It's there to not only keep the board from flipping over, but as it slides towards the nose, it's going to raise the back of your board up with your back foot to keep the board level and not rocketed. So theoretically, if you do this and mix it with this, you should end up with something like this, and eventually hone it so you get something like this. Which brings us back to timing. Now, if you feel pretty comfortable with your ollies, but you still end up with either a rocketed ollie or one that's over-boned towards the nose, it may be because of bad timing. You need to remember that after you pop the tail with your back foot and your front foot is sliding forward, that it's not sliding forward too fast or too slow. Again, this is where that teeter-totter motion comes into play. For the first second of an ollie, all your front foot is doing is letting off its weight and moving forward towards the nose. Once you've brought your back foot up as high as you think you can, your front foot should be pushing forward and slightly down on the nose. I've tried to overemphasize that motion here, boning my ollie a little late. You should be doing these motions, but a little quicker together so it doesn't look as stupid. The reason why timing can be so difficult is because when you break it down, an ollie consists of a lot of parts. There's the crouch, standing up and jumping, the pop, lifting your front foot and sliding towards the nose, lifting your back leg, and landing. And at full speed, it's a little more like this. This is why I definitely always recommend holding onto something when you can. It's a great confidence booster, and it really allows you to experiment with what you're trying. So really quickly, I'm going to recap. Make sure that you're standing on the ball of your foot, like this, and not in the middle, like this. Make sure that when you pop the tail, you're actually pressing down and jumping up, and not just pressing down. And remember that this, plus this, with the right timing, with the teeter-totter in mind, gives you this. So after taking all of this into consideration, all that's left is to practice over and over and over again. And hopefully you can start to see an improvement in your ollies. So keeping all these steps in mind, see if you can watch my ollies and pick out what I'm doing in terms of pop and timing. Anyway, I really hope that this helped you if you're having any trouble with your ollies. If that's still the case after watching this, just comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. And besides that, I want to thank you for watching, and you can like and subscribe if you want.